People argue that evolution now was kind of like a prelude to End SARS. Do you think that played the role in the End SARS process?
Oh, I definitely think that after revolution now, a lot of people became clearer that government could be confronted. But again, End SARS fell short of what he could have achieved because he did not have revolutionary leadership. I was the one who started End SARS in Abuja by going to the headquarters of the police. I was the one who invited a lot of the people who participated in End SARS privately. The critical junction for End SARS to become a revolution was the day after the shooting at Lekki. But everybody was more about taking the glory, Everybody wanted to be the captain on CNN. They were already doing documentaries about his struggle that has not even started. So
this is the issue, right? Because the lack of leadership we saw around End SARS, and this is what I was telling my friends, that if you had leaders around End SARS movements, they would have come up with, okay, what do we really want to achieve?
Yes. October 20th, the night of October 20th was the weakest day of the Nigerian state because it had already killed innocent people.
What do you say to your people that said that you try to hijack the movement?
Yeah, they were holding Zoom meetings.
Okay.
I think Aisha was also part of it. And I had warned against it and talked about it, that I think this is going to compromise the End SARS movement. And Buhari even said later that he was told by security agents that these young people will walk into his living room and drive him away.
Yeah.
So there was fear on the side of the government. And that is why they are trying to make the Peter Obi movement look like an End SARS movement, which is not. It's another mistake.
Let me go to the topic of evolution now, and I think people argue that evolution now was kind of like a prelude to End SARS. Do you think that played the role in the End SARS process?
Oh, I definitely think that after revolution now, a lot of people became clearer that government could be confronted. I think there was this palpable fear that the Buhari regime had gone fascist, and it was people were afraid of the regime. So revolution now came and exposed the underbelly of the government, that government could be confronted, especially for the new generation of activists in Nigeria, and I must give them thumbs up for that. But again, End SARS fell short of what he could have achieved because he did not have revolutionary leadership.
Okay.
Yes. And because we saw it firsthand, I was the one who started End SARS in Abuja by going to the headquarters of the police, and I was the one who invited a lot of the people who participated in End SARS privately. And one of the first earlier tweets about End SARS came from me. And I can name all of them, Faz, Renu, I was on the phone with Renu telling her how to...
Renu Mokri?
No, Renu Odwala, the young lady.
Okay.
No, I was the person who brought Deji and Aisha to the police headquarters. I invited them personally, so let's start this. And then it caught fire, which is good. But again, as is natural of human beings, the moment it became popular, a set of young elites said it was their project and were controlling things. And unfortunately, they had money, to buy food and all of that, which was not a bad idea because it sustained the momentum. But the critical junction for End SARS to become a revolution was the day after the shooting at Lekki. If that leadership was in control, and people had come out the next day with so much anger and the whole world keeping an eye on Nigeria, we would not be having this conversation. But everybody was more about taking the glory, Everybody wanted to be the captain on CNN. They were already doing documentaries about his struggle that has not even started. So, I hope we learn from that in the future.
Yeah, this is the issue, right? Because the lack of leadership we saw around End SARS, and this is what I was telling my friends, that if you had leaders around End SARS movements, they would have come up with, okay, what do we really want to achieve?
Yes,
there has to be an end goal. We can't just be protesting
all those ideas of when the state was. One of the issues that could have been resolved earlier is to envisage state response.
Exactly, yeah.
How to overcome it.
Yeah, yes.
I knew that the state would come after.
Yes, agent provocateurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were using the jet provocateurs.
Yeah.
And when that didn't work, they had to move in.
Of course.
So at the point at which they moved in, had there been strong leadership across the country, is to take it a notch higher. And October 20th, the night of October 20th, was the weakest day of the Nigerian state because it had already killed innocent people. So, but they woke up and they must have been surprised that by 21st, nobody was left.
Yeah.
Everybody had left.
Yeah.
People are coward. People were had crossed the border. Others had started denouncing even End SARS. And that was a fundamental flaw of End SARS.
Yeah, I think for me, like you need people that, like you said, that can see, and when you've seen you're read on political movements, you can see that this is how the government will respond. Yeah. Okay, how do we counter the government response? Yes. But what do you say to your people that say that you try to hijack the movements?
No, but that's where the argument, that's where the blackmail came from.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't. See, they were holding meetings with government representatives on that ground.
Okay, you mean people like who?
They were holding meetings with Dangote, Tony Elumelu.
Who were holding?
I think all of the major End SARS people.
Oh, really?
They were holding Zoom meetings.
Okay.
I think Aisha was also part of it. And I had warned against it and talked about it, that I think this is going to compromise the End SARS movement. And that's where they focused on me, because what they tried to do, which was the worst mistake, was that the government knew that End SARS was going to be big, and they started trying to appoint leader for the End SARS, people they could talk to. First they started with was this guy called this musician
Naira
Mali.
Oh, Naira Mali.
So they wanted to impose Naira Mali on the End SARS. The police was holding Zoom meetings with him on Instagram. They thought it was a joke. When they discovered that Naira Mali had no control over what was going on, they abandoned Naira Mali, went for Davido, because they kept trying to impose, faces that they thought had social control over. But those guys didn't control the streets. So they went to Davido. Davido came when they brought him to the police headquarters. He denounced his entire actions the day before. So because he knew the street wasn't listening to these guys, they now started going after those they suspected might be difficult to talk to, like me. Because I wouldn't have accepted any of those meetings that Elumelu and Dangote, they were screenshots. You can do the research of their Zoom meetings with the people they chose that they thought were reasonable. And then the End SARS guys were putting demands in front of the government. But that was not the demand of the street wanted the system to collapse. That was the feeling of the street. All those 5+5 or 5/5 demands, they misread the public. The public was tired with the government. It was a political uprising. It wasn't about End SARS. It wasn't about ending police brutality alone. It was to end the government's instrumentality of oppression. And for a lot of people, Buhari represented that. And they wanted, and Buhari even said later that he was told by security agents that these young people will walk into his living room and drive him away. So there was fear on the side of the government. But the government was also able to manipulate some of the organizers to say, look, these guys are going to turn this, don't let Sowore be in charge of this, because he will turn it into a revolution. My crime, according to some of those organizers, was that I will turn this into a revolution, and they weren't lying. That was the direction that the End SARS movement needed to go. Otherwise, you would need End SARS too. And that is why they are trying to make the Peter Obi movement look like an End SARS movement, which is not. It's another mistake. Because this is appropriation of the struggle of a generality of the people for selfish political reasons. And that is why, there will be a lot of gnashing of teeth again very soon.